This is Straight Up Health, and I'm going to do some questions and answers from real life teenagers. Let's see if I could get through 10 of these without rambling on too much. First one is, why do you need more water when you exercise? The short answer to this is that you lose water when you exercise. Perspiration or sweating is how our body cools itself down when we're exerting force and our body temperature increases. And when you sweat, you're losing water. So typically you have to replace it. And that's why it's important to stay hydrated before, during, and after activity. So all the time. Let's see, next up, does exercise help calm down anxiety and depression? I can rephrase the question if by calm down, we say, can physical activity or exercise help manage symptoms of anxiety and depression? 100% yes. So we know that exercise can release endorphins or hormones that can help reduce stress, as well as neurotransmitters or chemicals in the brain that can boost our mood. There are cases where medical professionals may prescribe exercise as a way to treat or manage some cases of anxiety and depression. Combine those endorphin and neurotransmitter effects with a physical effect of better sleep, and then social and emotional effects of increased self-confidence or self-esteem, and you can maybe start to see how exercise can really assist with some of the symptoms of anxiety and depression. Next up, how do I stop sleep deprivation? As far as I know, everyone kind of has a different relationship with sleep. Some people fall asleep really easily, some takes a little bit more work, but there are habits we can put in place to make our transition to our bedtime as successful as possible. I went over some of these on my influences on physical activity video about sleep, but things like not looking at screens at least an hour before you go to bed, trying to keep where you sleep quiet, dark, and cool, and then having some bit of regularity or routine. So going to bed and waking up around the same time as much as possible. And guess what? Exercise will help sleep as well. Can you still eat foods you love and work out and still be considered healthy? Short answer, absolutely. A big theme you'll see across all my videos is balance. It's important to not eat, pizza, ice cream, cookies every time we want it, because maybe that's all day, every day. But at the same time, you don't have to never eat things you enjoy. The important part is getting enough essential nutrients across all the food groups, ideally from healthy food options, and then using moderation when we want to have, something fun or a treat or something like that. But there are many, many people in the world who eat a lot of the things they love and could still be considered healthy. Next, what are some healthy fats to eat? So I went over healthy fats versus unhealthy fats in my essential nutrients video. Some sources for the mono and poly unsaturated fats are things like nuts, seeds, and plant oils. So olive oil, avocados, some seafood, fish can have healthy fats as well. Got a broad question. What are some foods that are healthy? There's a lot. I want to keep the answer short, so if I rephrase it, I like to think of things that are quick, tasty enough, and relatively cheap and accessible. I think of trail mix, as long as it's not 80% chocolate chips. So nuts, a little bit of dried fruit, almonds, hard-boiled eggs, fruit as well. The easiest way I try to categorize something as healthy is how easily can I tell where this food is coming from. If it's a candy bar, there's a lot of ingredients. If it's a bowl of oatmeal with some peanut butter and yogurt, I know exactly what those 3 ingredients are. So the more you know what the ingredients are and the closer they kind of are to the starting product, think like real food versus processed food. Generally, that's a simple way to start to look at foods as healthy or not. How can not communicating with people every day affect someone's health? So this dips into social, emotional health. A lot of ways. There's not one simple answer. If we're focusing on potential negative outcomes of this, isolation can lead to some psychological challenges. Maybe you feel a little bit more depressed or feel a little bit more anxious. It's not always going to happen, but humans are meant to be social. We are meant to express and feel and share, especially at an age that I know the people are asking these questions, adolescence or teenage years. Socializing is really important, and this past year during a global pandemic has made that extra hard. So rather than focusing on all the ways that it may affect someone negatively, I would rather focus on some things you can do to be as social as possible right now. Talk to your friends like on a video call, not just text. Hear their voice, ask them what's going on, how they are. Do the same thing with your family and exercise with your family if you can. Get out and go for a walk. Go to a park, touch some grass and look at some trees. Even if we're not able to see all our friends as much as we like, even just getting outside and getting into a little bit of nature, seeing the sky can help some of those negative effects of not socializing as well. 3 more. Is there a point you can overwork yourself? For example, you work out so much it becomes unhealthy. Is that a possibility? Yes, it's called overtraining. Another reason why this may happen, dipping into the kind of mental health and maybe eating disorder side, is if someone is constantly trying to look a certain way, they could develop some mental health challenges or illnesses, or potentially an eating disorder. If we're not talking about that, then just overtraining, so working too hard too often. I have talked in a lot of my videos about the importance of rest and recovery. So yes, you can definitely overwork yourself. What that is for different people is where it varies. I don't want to work out for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. For some people, that's what they do, and it's not overworking. So it really depends on who you are, what you do, why you do it. I hope that helps. How many hours of sleep would you recommend me to have on weekends? The same amount you have on weekdays. If you're an adolescent, you should be getting like 8 to 9 hours. And I know so many teenagers are not getting that much. During adolescence is the second most pivotal growth time in a human life. From being born to turning into a toddler, you double in height and weight and all that stuff. You start talking, your brain increases. The second biggest growth change is between being a child and transitioning to being an adult. So rest and recovery in that 8 to 9 hours is super important to help that process along as best as possible. So it shouldn't matter whether it's the weekday or weekend. And trust me, I get it. It's fun to do fun things on the weekend, but just get as close as you can to that 8 or 9 hours or more and have it be regular. And I saved this one for last. How important is health? How important is your life? How important is it to be able to move your body, to do the physical things you want to do, to be able to make relationships or reflect on your own habits? Basically, I'm very biased. I don't see a way of navigating life that doesn't have to do with our health in some degree, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual. Those are all components of our health that we are going to have to address someday at some time, and more than not, it's throughout our whole life. So I hope you kind of get what I'm saying, and we can agree on that, because I'm gonna just keep stating this same stuff, and I'll try to keep it straight up. Let me know if you want me to do more Q&As in the future. Peace.